What do you call makeup in Spanish?
Maquillaje.
And that's like face paint, right? No, am I wrong?
I don't know. I don't know what the... Well, maquillaje is face paint, yeah, but
So
also... Yeah.
If the women can wear their maquillaje, he can wear his maquillaje.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying. All right. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Ruffin.
And I'm Miriam.
And today, we're going to review Joker. Folie.
Say it in that accent.
How do you say it?
I don't know.
Shit on it.
Folie.
And, yeah. Check it out.
The Surrealist McCoy.
All right, so first, we're going to do a little spoiler-free first impressions, and then we'll go straight into spoiler land.
Heck yeah.
So,
let's do it.
Yeah. So, I just want to give a little background on our movie viewing habits, because usually these movies come out, I think the earliest people see them is like Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then we don't get to see them until Sunday just because of our work and whatever. So usually by the time Sunday rolls around, we've already heard people's thoughts a little bit. We don't look at reviews.
Yeah.
I don't look at
mostly unwillingly.
Yeah, unwilling, because we go on social media.
Yeah.
And so by the time Sunday rolls around for this one, there's a lot of negativity, and I'm a contrarian, so I want to give it a chance, even though people say they don't like it.
Yeah, we had already bought the tickets anyway.
We already bought the tickets. And it's Jokers, Joaquin Phoenix, Lady Gaga. So, but again, with The Crow, like our recent review, it wasn't that hard for me to dig this, to like it. You know, I mean, it was good. I don't see what all the fuss was about, but I think it was pretty dang good. Not something I'm gonna watch a million times, I don't think, but for the type of thing that it was, which I was fully expecting to be what it was good. I got little problems with it. We'll get into it, but yeah. So that's kind of what I thought.
Good. I guess I thought it was great. Like maybe like a little bit higher tiered, probably than what I thought that I was gonna give it, or I wasn't trying to have like so many expectations going in. I guess that's my also movie habit, is like I'm not I try to tell myself, don't expect something that you're probably not gonna see. I don't know, except for what the commercial led me on to believe, because that's their job, to market it in a certain way. And from how they marketed it, I was pleasantly surprised. I was just like, okay, yeah, that's cool. That's what I wanted. So I thought it was great. But that's my taste in movies. Of, I'll just say this for the spoiler-free kind of stuff. If you like films that are kind of like take place in like a period piece inspired, that are musicals, kind of in like the realm of La La Land and courtroom dramas type of stuff, I think that any of you like Batman and Joker stuff, you'll like this,
Yeah.
And what the commercials led me to believe, that it was going to be a musical, so I wasn't surprised about that.
Yeah, we found out a long time ago that it was going to be a musical, and Lady Gaga, and I know Joaquin can sing. He did Walk the Line. And so I was like, dang, and you said La La Land. I was thinking Across the Universe, because of the collection of songs that they chose, trying to go for a certain thing. And, Across the Universe obviously was all Beatles. But just when I heard of the concept of Folie, like they share this delusion and whatever. And I was thinking, it might be like Across the Universe, where it's sort of like these trippy imagination things. And it was that. It was like exactly what I thought it was going to be. Not exactly, but I was like, I pretty much thought it would kind of be like little music videos and these trippy
that's
things.
That's a good way to put it.
And it delivered on that. So
yeah. So overall good. Yeah.
And then we'll give our official rating at the end.
Yes.
After spoilers.
Right. After the spoiler talks.
You think it's spoilers?
it's time.
Spoiler.
Spoiler time. So you go first.
I'll go first?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll just get into specifics. So we said spoilers.
Yeah.
You know, the end of this was awesome. It was a twist, to me at least. It was sort of like a twist where...
The twist.
At least my inference of this is he's not actually the Joker of this universe going forward. Because they show another guy and he had a certain laugh. And I was like, wait, is this a thing where he already has inspired all these people?
Yeah.
In the last movie and in this movie to put on clown makeup, and they loved him, and it's a thing where you're gonna have a copycat or maybe multiple copycats. But I think it was my takeaway of the end of this. I was kind of pumped. Not that there needs to be sequels to this, but just like, oh, this is like kind of a twist, you know, like a 2-movie twist. I don't know if you have to. Can't think of any examples like that where, because I kept waiting for more hints that he was going to be this big crime boss.
Yeah.
And then at the end, he dies.
The big spoiler talk, and you know, I guess, you know, going back to where, you know, if y'all saw the first Joker, he ends up getting arrested. And so that's where we're following off from the first one, is that, like, you know, he's in jail now. And which something that I guess this is a good thing that many people haven't talked about yet, is the opening shot of this film. Is the animation to it, okay? So if y'all weren't aware, Warner Brothers is making this, and you know, they got animators to just get this whole first sequence in, to just kind of like get us into, you know, to see what we're gonna sort of like see towards the movie. Not animation, but the mood of it.
Like a recap, sort of the last movie. Without really, I mean, but it was a quick thing of like, okay, he's in jail now, like, but it was like, and Warner Brothers is kind of like one of the best animation. Yeah, they're the goats. They did in the 90s and Batman. Yeah, animated series. Yeah, and to me, it did look like I don't know if this is accurate, but it looked like the people who animated that series. We'll find out later, but it was perfect. They got me pumped to see what was next. So then they pan to the jail, like, you know, it's real life now. And so he's in jail, and he's kind of like messed up. He's still like extremely thin, and just like kind of, you know, he gets beat up in there a lot, it seems, and by the cops, you know, by the security guards. And, you know, just he's ultra thin. Like, it's not a good life, you know. He's like, we're seeing him like dump his pee into like a hole. I guess like they have to do it every morning because they don't have like the flushing toilets or nothing like that inside their cells, so they always have to dump that out every morning. And it's nasty. You could just kind of see the grossness of like in their clothes, their oily hair, and just how obviously the inmates live. So we just kind of see that. So Arkham. Yeah. Is it Arkham?
I guess it's.
I don't know.
Arkham.
But it's weird. Like it's a false sense of that he's kind of cool with the security guards. Yeah. A little bit. Like they're always asking him for a joke and all these things, and then there's a couple parts where they just like smack him in the head, or like these things. I'm like, oh, okay, they're not nice to him. Like this is not a nice. Which is kind of
expected, I guess. You know, obviously, because they're always saying like, oh, the hard crimes that they've committed, they deserve it and stuff like that. So you have this like dynamic of like, well, do they deserve? Kind of like, is it helping them? Or, you know, is it making them worse, you know, if you just continue to torment them? And just, you know, a lot of bits in this film really did kind of make you, I guess, made me feel sorry for, you know, the conditions of how they were living and how specifically Joker was living. It made me feel like sorry for him. You know, I guess it's just kind of like, I guess they did it on purpose so you could feel sorry for him, but also it's like have a bit of humanity, you know, and because they're already serving like life there or whatever. So you know.
Well, that's too like the feeling sorry for him thing ties into what I was talking about with because I'm going like, when is he gonna become this crime crazy evil guy? And because in the ending kind of like lets you off the hook of that, or like where well, maybe he's not the
Joker that we know, like
because
crazy
him and Harley, or in this movie they called her Lee, instead of Harley Quinn she's Lee, which he's trying to be different.
Lee Quinzel, I guess.
Yeah, it was still Harley Quinn, but they don't work out either. And then I'm going like, I was kind of like disappointed, like what, like how's this? Which obviously it's its own universe, but it was cool because I was like, oh, she's probably gonna get with one of this copycat guy, or maybe there will be a crazier Joker who's pure evil or pure chaos.
Yeah, because the Joker that we know is very like almost demonic or something, almost like just like no holds barred, just doesn't care about like who he kills, what he does, like no real morals, you know. And this guy, you know, Joaquin's character, you know, Joaquin's Joker, it's like I said, there's that fine line between feeling sorry for him and just like, when is he gonna show the real self of, you know, being the Joker, the manipulator that he is, you know, because that's probably what he's doing. Like he wants to, you know, kind of like how people do in jail, like they just get off of on like good behavior, and they may not be really reformed.
And the whole movie is like kind of like a courtroom type of thing. And it's like I was telling you when we got out, I was like, they kind of had a case. They're trying to sell the fact that he has a split personality and the Joker is one, and they were kind of making, his lawyer was making some pretty good points, and then he kind of threw it all away, and because Harley Quinn, she wants him to just go full Joker. She wants him to go full. Yeah,
she wants the
confident in yourself,
bad boy,
and you're and whenever he decides, I'm not the Joker. I'm the person that killed these people. I'm Arthur. I'm not the Joker.
Arthur
and then
Fleck,
she's like,
I guess is,
she's like, bro.
She's like, I don't want losers, man.
Yeah, she don't want losers. So. And that's what I'm saying. Like later, and you did the other guy that I think is gonna be the Joker.
Yeah.
I'm like, she's gonna fall in love with that guy.
Right.
Because he's the young whippersnapper.
Yeah.
And one more thing about the whole ending, it makes the timeline make sense too. Like even if we get no more sequels or any more in this universe, which I'm pretty sure we won't, it makes sense because the little Bruce Wayne is a little kid
in the first film,
in the first movie.
Yeah.
Harvey Dent is a young man.
Yeah.
I mean, he
looks like he's what?
Just a serious lawyer and everything.
Late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah, he's not right. So if you get this younger, it wouldn't make sense for Joaquin to be the Joker,
right?
Because he's already like
graying.
He's already 50. Yeah. So that was a little cool way of doing that because in the first movie I'm like, well, Bruce is like a little tiny kid. How is he going to be arch nemesis of this 50-year-old guy?
Yeah.
So that's something I thought about.
Yeah. So I think in this movie, like a lot of the elements one of the elements that I really liked was the intrigue, like a message about the intrigue of like people and the sensationalism of crimes and like serial killers or people that, you know, end up doing these types of crimes. So, you know, I'm talking about like cases like the Menendez brothers or like Dahmer or things like that where they televise like
Ted Bundy.
Yeah, especially now, you know, because like that true crime stuff is just like gotten way big. So they do kind of like have a sort of mirror to that in this movie where the Joker is the person who murdered these people, and people see him as a kind of like a big influencer figure or whatever, and they're just kind of like, you know, I like him because he's real, or he did these or whatever, we're behind you.
He's sticking it to the man.
Yeah, some people back him up for the wrong reasons, some back him up because they don't like the death penalty and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool how they showed that or whatever.
And that's why I think it works. It's that it would get passed off onto a different person becoming the real Joker, because like in the first movie, people were like, you know, eat the rich, and because I think he murdered some rich guys, and then kind of like this populist kind of thing where like, oh, he's for the people, whatever, he's standing up to whatever. I don't know. It's not super like clear, but just the fact that people do that in real life, like you're saying, like they just take the wrong thing from something and just act like, oh, he's this hero.
Yeah.
There was one sign in the movie during this courtroom thing, and it was like, I fear the church, not a clown. Or it was like, I fear God, not clowns, or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, people are kind of making their own interpretation of this guy, but he's just mentally really messed up.
Yeah.
He's abused.
He was abused as a kid.
You do feel
by
sorry
his mom
for him.
And stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. It's
Bullied.
like they're taking the wrong thing from this. This is a really tortured guy, but he became a symbol.
He became a symbol, yeah. That's like the main thing about this too. And I did like what they did with the Harley Quinn stuff, because it's so funny. You hear about like serial killers and people in jail receiving like love letters, and people that actually like fall in love with these people, and you're like, why would they fall in love with somebody like that, or what attracts them to somebody like that? And you got Harley Quinn's character, or Lee, she knows about him, and she purposely got herself committed, like she committed herself into it. Her parents are like doctors, or her dad's a doctor, and she comes from a well-off family.
But she lied to him, to Arthur Fleck. She lies to him about all that because she just wants to get close to him. Yeah. Because she's obsessed with him.
She wants the bad boy.
Yeah, she's obsessed with this guy, and she lies to get. And it's like he still kind of goes along with it because he hasn't had a girlfriend probably ever. Right. And all that kind of thing. So there's a side to him that likes the attention.
Yeah. And then he finds out she lied to him, but then he still somehow, when they were in the hospital, the asylum together, mental place, they were able to like have relations or whatever, and so she got pregnant. Relations. So she says. We don't know if it's actually true or not or whatever.
She probably lied about that too.
Right. Yeah, she seems like she's like a serial liar or whatever. So he was able to kind of like brush everything aside once she was like, oh, by the way, well, I'm pregnant, like I know I lied, but also I'm pregnant. So he was just like, oh, okay, well, everything's all right, cool. Like I'm still in love with this, lady or whatever. So that was she was like manipulative, kind of, I would say. Yeah,
and I think I was a little disappointed that she's like being like ditching him at the end, and and the way that she reacted because in court he basically says in front of everybody like, no, it wasn't a split personality, like I did it, right, all this stuff, and then she's kind of just like disappointed in him, and I was like, why is she being like that, man? But I think it's because Harley Quinn lately has been an anti-hero a lot more in the like the new game and Margot Robbie's version of it, and she's got these comics where she's teaming up with Poison Ivy, and they're kind of like this likable couple and all these stuff. So we're used to kind of like liking her and stuff like that. So in this one, I was kind of mad at her. I was like, well, she's a villain. I mean, she started off as a villain. Yeah. She comes from that animated series. Yeah. That's her. It's really cool that she started and it comes from that, not the comics. Right. But we're just used to her being like pulling for her. Yeah, exactly. But she's kind of just not good in this.
She's a jerk in this. Yeah. Which is great. I liked it. I liked that they did that for a character.
Because they got my hopes up. Yeah. Of like that he found someone, and as messed up as he is, and he's obviously the whole movie is about a villain. This Joker. Right. He's not a great guy, but it's just more feeling sorry for him, and he finally found someone, and they're in love, or and that's just she disappointed me.
Right. Yeah. And that's the cool thing about this movie is that sometimes, like even now, I just forgot that it was a musical because the story was actually pretty good, and the way they inserted these musical numbers into each situation wasn't forced. It just kind of happens, and the songs that they just chose for these situations, granted they're oldies, I guess you would call them now, like ranging from like the 1950s to the 1970s. It has like that kind of aesthetic for the music and the whole film. but they just, you know, it goes from like jazz to kind of like some funky music, you know,
soul.
but mostly like like jazz.
Frank Sinatra,
right?
kind of croonery type of stuff.
And like the '60s stuff, it would be like I guess the Carpenters or whatever.
That part.
Yeah, so it's they did a good job with choosing the vibes for this movie.
I definitely the music, like I teared up sort of on the Carpenters, you know. Why do birds suddenly appear? This song, and I'm like, and it's something about that song, and I think it's just always
sad.
Something I don't know.
It's like a sad song, but it's beautiful.
And when you're in the theater and the sound is so loud and everything, and not that the movie was making me emotional, really. I mean, whatever, but it's more just the song. You know, I just. It was good, and
it made me emotional.
Yeah, and I don't know. Just I think too. Like I wonder if, at least for us, I think I knew like most of the songs.
Yeah, I knew most of the songs. I think there was only one song that I didn't know off the top of my head or anything but it was
a few for me. But
it was nice.
Because of that, when the song would start, I was going like, oh, I know that, and then it was like I was excited, or I was like, oh, cool, they're playing that one.
Yeah.
Like that's life.
Yeah, they still played that from the first movie.
Oh yeah, right. And yeah, so it's just
they played that song Bewitched, bothered and something.
Yeah, but I wonder if you're not. So I just want to go back to addressing criticism of this.
Yeah.
I just think it's not. I think there's a difference between taste and quality, and I just don't know how you watch this and say that it was bad quality. You know, I think this is just more. I think in this is Spinal Tap. He said their appeal is becoming more selective. It's like his nice way of saying that they're falling off. But yeah, obviously this is, I think, probably gonna fall off. The first one made $1 billion. How are you ever gonna do that twice? You know what I mean? Like.
That's the mistake sometimes.
And I think that was right. And I think that was the curiosity of the first one. Like, oh, it's a Joker movie. Joaquin Phoenix. What the heck? Robert De Niro.
Right.
And so this one, they deliberately said, we're gonna make it a musical. We're gonna do something totally different. And I think this is just the appeal is more selective. Yeah. And when these older songs come on, and I'm wondering if people just don't know the songs.
I mean,
that might be part of it, or they're just going like, "Why are they?"
But at the same time, yeah.
And if you're not into musicals, and you're just going like, "Well, why do they just randomly start singing?"
Yeah,
because that's what musicals are.
Yeah,
but it's just more specific vibe, and I just don't think it's for everybody. You know, as for me, I liked it, but I could definitely see like it's not really like a normie kind of movie where like everybody. It's not trying to appeal to everybody. Right.
Yeah. That's. I think that I got the same kind of vibe from that, right? Because, you know, like the minute people sometimes hear like, oh, musical, like they're imagining something in the range of like, let's say Fred Astaire, you know, type of musicals possibly, or like Into the Woods, like by Disney or whatever, where like almost every scene you have like singing and you know, dance numbers that are way over the top and just you know, kind of in that aspect. But it's not really, like I said in the very beginning, like if you're into like films like La La Land or something, this has the musical numbers, and it's like magnificent, and like the cinematography, like it goes like way out. But also, you know, I you know, would like to emphasize that it has a lot of parts where there's like a lot of dialogue and story, that it kind of brings it all together. It's not completely like, you know, a Fred Astaire kind of movie, you know, like, yeah.
That's why, like, I keep going back to Across the Universe, but yeah, it's sort of like, because in that movie, they do the same thing as this, where it's kind of like we're having this little scene together and we're talking, and then it's just like, and she's just like, I want to hold your hand, you know, just start singing the song, you know. And this would do that too, where it would kind of gently go into the singing. Like he's on the phone and he's leaving a message, and then he just kind of starts the song. He starts singing the song.
Yeah.
And then later, she's listening to her answer machine.
Yeah.
and his song is coming through the answer machine. And it sounds like, you know, the quality of like an answer machine speaker. Mm-hmm. It's just little cool stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I thought it was cool how they did the songs.
Yeah. And I think like, you know, the more I think about it, I like to think of this movie as like kind of a crappy breakup movie, you know, like a good one where, you know, because like Joker falls in love with Lee and just, you know, he gets love bombed by her, you know, and he's just like over the moon and he's daydreaming and thinking about her, and she gives him something to hope for because like I said at the beginning, you see him, he's just like down in the dumps, just like not smiling, just feeling crappy, another crappy day, and these guards are like, give us another joke, and it's like, yeah, who would want to freaking deal with that every freaking day? So she just gave him like a little pep in his step, and it seems to me that they were like singing to each other whenever they saw each other and stuff like that. So it wasn't just a fantasy in his head, it was they were both singing to each other, but that's like how they communicated, that's how they built their relationship on, you know, just that whole singing. Because
they, she committed herself. Yeah. And then when he's walking down the hallway, he sees her in this, like, singing group. Yeah. That I guess they have at this... the
mental health facility.
Place. Yeah. And then the one guard, I forget this actor's name, but he's awesome. He's in everything. He's like a Braveheart and 28 Days Later. And that guy. Mm-hmm. He's like, hey, I got you signed up for your little singing class, because I think he noticed them flirting or something. Yeah. And so then that's how they really meet, and she does kind of put a lot of like false hope in his brain, like, you know, we're gonna get you out of here and stuff like that. But
yeah, not cool.
I do want to say though about the songs, and this is not like a really bad thing. It's just because I knew it was going to be this way, but the production of the voices, or more so Joaquin, I knew it was going to have that kind of production where it's like almost like auto-tune or whatever. And I know auto-tune's everywhere and whatever, but I was thinking about Johnny Cash. He played Johnny Cash, right? The later years of Johnny Cash, where he sounds more rough or it's just more raw. And I wish the production of Joaquin's vocals was a little more like that, where it just sounds like a guy singing, because I know like these movies, it's always going to be like that. I mean, I can't remember the last one. We saw that movie Encanto. Yeah. And it just has that vibe, and I call it laser beam singing.
Yeah, like robotic kind of,
sounds like a keyboard.
Too round, smooth.
It's real smoothed out, real tuned up and compressed and blah, 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 whatever. And not so much for Lady Gaga. She's just, I don't know if it's like when you just sing it that good, you don't really have to do much to it or something. And she's got the vibrato.
Oh, yeah.
And she was amazing. I mean, it was like, obviously. Yeah. I mean, we already knew that. It wasn't a surprise. But like, and I wasn't surprised about the whole production thing either. It's just my little thing of like, I wish it wasn't. I wish Joaquin, that they didn't fuck with his voice so much. You know? Yeah. But whatever.
I agree with that too. You know, I mean, like, I'm not as passionate about it, but like, I think it would have helped with his character being like, you know, quote unquote ugly or whatever, you know, this guy, you know, who's just a villain and stuff like that. And, you know, he's not like a singer, so it would made sense that his character would be like singing ugly, you know. Kind of like how Tom York sings sometimes with his songs, you know, Radiohead, where he's just, you know, singing how he really sings, you know, and it makes this like that little ugliness makes the song beautiful because it's so raw and real, you know. And I think it would have helped his character a little more, but yeah.
Because that's how he is with his acting, Joaquin Phoenix, and especially in this role, he's got kind of this weird way that he is, and but then when all of a sudden he'd sing and it'd be like do do do, like the notes, it was just, man, I don't know. But I was, you know, I knew that was going to be like that, so it wasn't like whatever. Also, I do want to say another thing about the music is the original movie, I think the woman, I don't know, we'll put it on screen. Her name was like Hildebrandt something, but it's that real eerie, like,
for which one?
Joker.
Oh,
I think she's the first woman that won Grammy
I remember that.
or
Okay, yeah.
Oscar or something like that,
Yeah.
or whatever. And it still has that. I think I saw her name on this one too, but. And it still has that, but then obviously they had to figure out ways to get into these songs, and I think that was really cool the way they did it, because it would be like this scariness, a dissonant thing, and then they'd kind of start singing on top of that, and then it would slowly do the accompaniment of that song, but it would be coming out of that original score that this composer did, and I think that was really cool because it was like a little ugly. Like,
yeah.
And I wish they just would have left his voice a little more, but I love how they got in and out of those songs.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah, that was so music was top notch, you know. Like, I mean, you know, I wouldn't have changed, you know, I wouldn't have wanted any other way. So yeah, it's good. It's good. Because I know I wanted to mention that, like, the Joker, when things get really hot, when the Joker fires his lawyer, yeah, that's when things kind of start going uphill, but then they go downhill. That's kind of like the climax of this movie, I guess.
It sucks because like the actress that does the lawyer, I thought she did a good job too.
She was the mom in like Step Brothers.
Yeah, and the
but she's really good in it. Yeah,
40-Year-Old Virgin.
Yeah. No, yeah, she was the mom in 40-Year-Old. No, yeah.
Or the girlfriend.
The girlfriend. Yeah, you're right.
You know, so you don't really see her in this type of thing, but
yeah.
And then there's a lot of good, man. The last movie as well, but there's some good. Steve Coogan. He's the guy that came in and interviewed him.
Oh yeah.
I like that actor and
that guy.
But no, like they had a case. She had a pretty good case, and she really cared about him.
She did care about him. And, she was trying to like get him into like freedom and stuff. She was like, "Yo, you stick with me, I'll."
So we got to get you help. She was just trying to get him to go into another type of place, like just some where they can really help him, but
and not the death penalty. I guess that's what most good lawyers would want.
Yeah. But it's like I think it's because of Harley Quinn getting in his ear, and then he's like, maybe I should be like the badass like leader of all these people, and then he fires her, and he wants to represent himself, and
first idiot, and like another idiot move by him.
I kept laughing at the judge. Like the judge kept going like, "Hey man, you can't be making a comedy show out of this." So he kept reminding him like, and then somehow or another they brought up like some judicial precedent that he could wear the makeup.
Right.
It's just
I don't know if that's like would be accurate now.
Yeah, but it's like, Gotham.
See Diddy up in probably no. I'm just kidding.
But it's Gotham. It's not a real place, so I could go with that. It's fine. But
right. Maybe in their universe, it's like
that's their like whatever case they brought up. Oh, according to this,
or maybe if like women are allowed to have makeup, like. Then they're like, well, he could.
What's the difference?
Yeah.
Isn't it in Spanish? Isn't it called like, what do you call makeup in Spanish?
Maquillaje.
And that's like face paint, right? No, am I wrong?
I don't know. I don't know what maquillaje is face paint, yeah, but also, yeah.
That's what I was saying. So,
I'm like thinking, what would it be derived from? Like maquillaje, it would seem like mac would be like a form of mask. Or something, yeah.
Could be.
I don't know.
But that's what I'm saying.
We'll get proven wrong later or something.
If the women can wear their maquillaje, he can wear his maquillaje.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying.
I sound like the guy from Conan. It's like actually, it's like a Socrates.
Jordan.
Jordan
Schlansky.
Yeah, Jordan. Yeah, I'm going Schlansky.
What is
Socrates.
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 Ralph Macchio.
Ralph Macchio. Anyways.
Look up some Jordan Schlansky videos.
Yeah.
You will not regret it.
You will not regret it, Conan. They're not even paying us for saying that. We're just super fans.
It's a sponsor.
Super fans. Speaking of super fans, you see what I did there? No, just
Segwation. I need my agwation.
I know. I need my Jamaica Asian. I don't know. Okay, it's going overboard.
Do what now?
All right. Anyway, no, I did want to add something about
Super fan.
it's the super fan kind of stuff getting a little out of hand, a little overboard. Because one of the things that like we said during the week, we kind of hear, unwillingly of like, people rating this movie and all that stuff before we get to it. And one of the things that I saw a certain comic magazine, kind of saying about like, or something, saying like studios are now trying to assemble, I guess like panels or whatever, showings of super fans, the film before it even premieres, so that way they can kind of gauge, like, or how do you say, get their input on like if it's gonna be good or not, And I kind of think like, a part of me agrees with that a little bit. Some part of me is just kind of like, well, whatever happened to just like creating what you want to create, and just like letting people. Like, yeah, if they don't like it, they don't like it. If they like it, they like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of divided in that kind of thing where I get the appeal of, like, why studios would want super fans to rate their stuff. But I feel like it can get into a dangerous kind of, like, level. But, I'm saying this because, like, yeah, a lot of negative talk with this movie, I noticed, or we noticed it today, when we went to the theater, we saw like, it wasn't packed, and some movies even on a Sunday it's still kind of getting packed.
Well, Deadpool, yeah. It was like crazy. And then so I think I heard the same story, on different outlets posting that, and it was kind of the way they framed it was like, we're gonna ask these super fans so that we don't piss them off, basically. That's what I took from it, and I just think that's like horrible idea. Because this movie, I respected it when it was first announced. I just thought, like, this is cool. They're going to swing for the fences and do something different.
Yeah.
And if we're just going to go off of what fans want, it's just going to take away our ability to be, like, surprised.
Yeah.
And recently with things like Rings of Power and whatever, and people want it to be, like, 100% accurate, and it's like, I don't know if that would be good.
Yeah.
If these certain things, I think we've got to let these creative people do what they want to do. And
right.
Part of going to the movies for me is like getting in touch with like a sense of wonder, like childlike wonder. And that's how I feel when I have a band that I love comes out with a new album, or just these different things that I go for that reason. And I want to be surprised, and I want to. And I think you said something right about the difference between people that are like super duper fans and then people that just are ignorant and don't know anything.
Yeah.
And they're kind of similar.
They kind of meet in the middle. I feel like they have more similar qualities than they think, because somebody who's like a super duper fan, or like, say like I don't know, somebody who's like thinks they know more about this subject, and then they see something and they're like, oh, they didn't do it right. It's just like, it's like, what are you talking about? Maybe you just didn't get it. Or, somebody who doesn't know the business or whatever. Oh, and they're just like, oh, like, I didn't get it. Well, it's dumb. They're not going to say they didn't get it. It's like, oh, it's dumb. It's like, well, what do you know? Like, yeah. I think that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, like for example, the songs. It's like, if you don't even know any of the songs,
yeah, then
you might just be like, But then if you know those songs really well and you're a super fan of like Sinatra and all these things, and then you're going like, oh, they ruined the song. So that's what we mean. It's like, it's easy to be a hater when you're on these like extremes. Yeah, because like just it's like these things have to be original. If it's a movie, it can't just be like what we've seen before. And it just, the whole, I guess, I know that they have focus groups and they have test screenings, things like that, but this sounded like a whole nother level. Yeah,
because it's kind of like how like there'll be like film snobs, that they probably never stepped one foot in a studio, or like at a place where you're just making a movie at all. They never try to even do their short films at all, probably, you know, there's got to be that. And then there's like people who don't, you know, who just consume movies and just like, you know, want to be entertained, and they're just like, oh, like, you know, and those are kind of like the similar people, because as a film buff, you should know better than to be extreme and criticize a film production and call it, you know, trash, you know, because like if you apparently know how it works, then you should kind of, you know, just make sure that you recognize that, some people work super hard in producing this. Yeah, it's not perfect, but they work hard.
Yeah.
And so, it's like you should know better, but you don't. Why? Because all you do is you just sit here and criticize, and you're not even trying to make a difference. You're not trying to make a movie yourself. Like if you want it a certain way, like A, B, C, D, then do it. Like do your own project. But they don't.
Yeah.
And same for people who, you know, just like judge everything and right away, and they know nothing about the business at all. You know,
yeah.
It's just
like I think to me it's the what I'm trying to do with this YouTube channel is to let's just lower the temperature on this stuff. Like we don't have to be disrespectful if we don't like something. We don't have to exaggerate. These things are, I see these things of like just everything is the worst movie ever, the worst right. The worst movie I've ever seen, and it'll be like really? It'll be stuff that I saw that I think we give like a full price, like the top rating that we do, 5 out of 5. Like I think Civil War, that movie, and people are going like it's the worst movie ever. I'm like, that's what I'm saying with taste versus quality. Taste. It's clearly like a well-made thing, and
it's not for you. You know, it's not for you. Yeah.
Oh, and that's the other thing I've been thinking about is you know, in the first movie, Joker's like, you wouldn't get it. And it's like, I don't think people get it. This one,
right?
Because I don't think that means that you're not smart enough to understand it. It's just it's not for you.
Yeah.
It's like if you're not into these old songs and kind of like a gothy romance type of thing, and you but to act like it is bad because it's not for me is just like it's a little silly, you know?
Yeah, and I think those ultimately those kinds of like critiques don't have a lot of things backing up that statement of like this is trash. Like it's usually like they just won't even like thoroughly think through it all, like, well, what makes it trash? Like explain, like for real, like don't just be like, oh, it's just trash. It's like, I don't know, that has no substance behind it, you know? So, you know, that's kind of why I'm saying, like, with these, like, super fans and all this stuff, it kind of worries me because, like, studios, you know, instead of saying, like, you know, it definitely screams, like, you know, we want more cash, which makes sense. Okay, studios have always been like that, right? But
it's the society we live in. I mean, obviously, they need to make money and everything.
Right. But for the audience, I'll say this for the audience, just like, you know, I guess like if the movie makes like, I don't know, 1 billion or whatever, like the first time, and then the second time it made half of that doesn't mean that movie was necessarily bad. You know what I mean? Like that's just like, don't let studios and stuff dictate, and like outlets dictate your like decisions to go and see this movie for yourself, you know? Like just because it didn't make that much money. It's kind of like cult movies. Like maybe the audiences weren't ready at that time and generation, but the audiences later on will appreciate it. And I think that's what's happening here, but I really don't want it to be, because this movie and other films, like, they deserve the time of day. You know, and it, like I said, these kind of critiques translate into real life. You know,
people just they're like, I'm not gonna go see that. I heard it sucks, so I'm not gonna go see it.
Yeah, it's kind of sad because, like, you know, cinema seems kind of like the movie-going experience seems to be dying a little bit. I heard like the younger generations aren't really into seeing films and stuff like that. But I think that people should give things a shot more. You know, like if you have a doubt, like, listen to yourself and be like, okay, like let me go see, and just try not to really hear this like negative critique that much, because what if it turns out that this movie that they say that you will not like, in absolutes, ends up being like your favorite movie of all time that gave you inspiration to do something, in your life or live. I don't know. So
yeah, could be like that one song in there that hits you, and yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe it's just like you find out about that song, and then maybe that song is the thing that changes your life. And you never know. You just try to go in things with an open mind. Try to not have expectations, and that's a bigger thing. I mean, I try not to do that in life sometimes, because they're never gonna be met because life is crazy. So because life is crazy and hard and everything, that's why I don't want to be like getting bent out of shape because a movie isn't 10 out of 10 or whatever. It's like, do we need to get so upset about it? Like, give it a shot. Call it trash and all these things. Like, just lower the temperature on this stuff. Like, let's just have fun. Like, have fun with the movies. And I think part of that is going to the theater and supporting your movie theaters, because it's so much better. The sound, and you get the experience, especially when you go see it pretty soon after it's come out, and everybody else in the theater, they also have not seen it. And so it's a special thing. And I started going to movies when I was a kid, and I still want to connect with that. That, like I said, that childlike wonder.
Yeah.
So just, even if it's not great, I mean, sometimes we leave movies and it's like, it was all right, but it was fun.
Yeah.
We still have fun.
And we still, could still get something out of it, I think, But yeah, there's some movies that you're just going to see and you're just going to be like, hell no. Like, I'm not even going to give this, like, because my intuition is telling me no. And that's cool, all right? Yeah. I'm just saying, like, collectively, these outlets and just, like, they're kind of manipulative,
Social media.
Yeah, if you really like I said, like, I saw the theater, it wasn't totally empty, but it was like, noticeable that with these kinds of talkings about it on the internet, like, people are going to be moved to not go. And, it's sad. And I really hope that it doesn't start really being a trend, and going forward, it's going to be like this mass, like, messagings of like, also this movie sucked, and this movie sucked, and then people's like continue really believing that, and it's like, dang, dude, cinema, this is how cinema dies. It's like, so there's a fine line, yeah
But
so that's it. No, just kidding.
That ain't it. No, we gotta give our ratings.
That's it. Our ratings.
I might flash a little thing on the screen because we have added to our rating system, just because I've been thinking about it, and Rotten Tomatoes, and usually these things are out of 5, and it gives you a little middle ground. 3 out of 5. It gives you a middle ground for that, and because it was before we just only had 4.
Yeah.
Things, and so
stricter it seemed, maybe, or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe
just a little limit. Yeah, so we need something that's in the middle, and we're going to continue to copy off Double Toasted, and one of my favorite channels. But they so now we got Watch at Your Own Risk, Rental, Matinee. Matinee is our new middle.
The third one.
Full Price and Golden Ticket. Now, with that being said, I'm going to give my rating. I would call this a matinee because all the great things that we said about it, but towards the end, I did feel like it's a little bit dragging until that moment I talked about with the, maybe this guy, that part was cool, at the very end, but it just felt like it was dragging a little bit. I'm like, okay, like how many more slow songs do we need? And the little production thing of Joaquin's voice takes me out of it a little bit when I was watching it. It's just not something that I think I'm gonna watch a whole lot, but I do think it's a matinee because we did go to the theater. I think it's worth going to see in the theater. It's definitely worth checking out. It's a nice a piece of art, you know. It's different. They tried to do something here, and I think they largely achieved it. I don't think it's bad, and I don't think it's okay. I think it's good. So, Matinee, 3 out of 5. That's my rating.
Nice. That's a nice. My rating would be full price.
Okay.
Yeah, I had the whole day to think about it. Mm-hmm. And upon further, no, I'm just thinking about it. Yeah, I liked. But see, this is kind of like my exact taste, because I like films that just kind of have this type of like jazzy mood, you know, stuff that is to do with like crime stuff. Although they didn't really go into like the details of the crime, like, you know, Batman Detective Comics, you know, usually tends to go into like who done did what, because we were already like, yeah,
who done did what?
Yeah, who done did what, you know.
So then what?
So then what? But we were just like, you know, seeing like the happenings after that. But of course I love musicals, you know. Not over the top like Into the Woods kinds of stuff, but I like the musicals, like, you know, Fred Astaire and you know, those kinds of vibes. So yeah, it got me with that, but it really did grip me with certain scenes where they showed like the Joker getting beat up, flashbacks of him being bullied, just like he goes through a lot. Like, let's be real, he's gone through a lot of stuff where you could kind of see where he would snap, you know. And like, mind you, like murder and all that stuff is never the answer, but you could understand why a person like that could end up at their boiling point, you know, and just like, all right, like this, enough is enough. And mind you, he's a skinny little dude, you know, so he was.
Is that real? The way his shoulder is?
I don't know. That I kept looking at that because, okay, it's just protruding through his, kind of, thingamabob, you know. So he's, but two of my favorite segments were the beginning with the animation. Yeah,
that was good.
And that got me. I was just like, I was entranced. And then the last part. So like the ending. And it didn't disappoint me. And the love story. I'm a sucker for love stories. And, you know, I could relate to the love bombing from, like, you know, past experiences and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, Lee, you jerk. So, you know, I was just, like, kind of rooting for Joker. Because he does kind of, you know, he gets bullied and stuff. So, yeah, the ending, it satisfied me. Because I was just like, you know, although I did see him getting killed, you know, a little bit, like I was just like, yo, he gonna get shanked in here, man. Like, yeah. Because like he loses his case and they give him like life in prison or whatever. He doesn't get, I think they give him a life in prison. So I don't think
I don't think they got to sentencing yet because the courtroom got blown up.
Okay. Oh, yeah, you're right. They were, well, he's guilty. Right, he found guilty, yeah. So he's obviously either going to get the chair or, you know, life in prison. Yeah. We didn't know. But, yeah, I also thought that Harley Quinn did the bombing, you know, for, like, you know, trying to, like, maybe, I thought she maybe changed her mind about dumping him. And just gone back and was like, oh, just, you know, fooled you, like, I changed my mind, I'm gonna like get you out or whatever. But I did have in my mind that maybe somebody's gonna break this guy out. Somebody,
I knew that was gonna happen.
You know, because this is either like, you know, Lee or one of his, like a goon that's not his goons, you know, because he doesn't have goons now, or yet, you know. It's just like his loyal, crazy followers that like serial killers or just killers, whatever, have. And so the whole thing got blowed up, but it wasn't Harley Quinn. She was still trying to ignore him. So, but I liked that whole, like, the guard, I guess, distracted him. He's like, oh, you got a visitor, you know, Joker. And he's like, oh, okay, like, I'll follow you. And I knew it was kind of sketchy because this is what happens in Goodfellas kind of crap, right? Like, Goodfellas kind of fashion where they kind of, like, you know, like, where are you leading me? And you're just like going away somewhere far or whatever. Like, and I'm just like kind of trailing behind you. You know, it was kind of sketchy. Like, it just seemed like he can get shanked or something. But the guard kind of led him like, oh, you got a visitor. So he's following. And then like the other inmate followed him. And he's like, oh, you want to hear a joke? And he told him a joke. And it was so tense that I'm like, yo, this position is kind of like he's wanting to shank him or whatever. And so he like, the guy ended up killing him. And we see this young guy who ends up killing like Joker throughout the movie. Yeah. Like little bits and pieces to where you don't really like, you know, you're like,
that's why that part was like, oh, because they had shown this guy a handful of times and he's always watching him. And yeah, he's inspired. A lot of people like this guy, but when he stabs him and the laugh that he does, I was like, oh. And then it's like kind of a 2-movie twist.
Yeah.
But they don't spell it out for you. But in my brain, I'm going like, oh, he's not the Joker.
Not like, the Joker we know.
He's the original Joker that inspires the Joker.
Right.
And like, yeah, they don't say that, but I thought it was pretty clear. Like, oh, this guy is gonna be the real. Yeah. Because like when we usually see him, he's like, you know, some men just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah, and I was actually going to talk a little bit about that, right? Like the Dark Knight, you know? Yeah. When we see Heath Ledger's Joker or whatever in the Dark Knight, they talk about him like, we don't know where he's from, what's his story like, and we know that like he invents anything that he wants to invent about himself, you know? He's just like saying, my father was a drunk, blah, blah, blah. And then he's in another scene, he says, like, you know, my mother did this. And, you know, so he's a liar.
We don't even know. He's just crazy. And then just chaos and just evil. Or maybe not even evil, but just want to watch the world burn. You're just crazy.
Yeah. And what we know from, like, Arthur Fleck's character, you know, the Joker, is that he's a little honest, you know, for a Joker, because he's like, you know, about his abuse, and he's sympathetic, and
the Joker's not.
He's actually a nice guy. Like,
so that's why it was satisfying, because it was like, oh, that's a relief that he's not really him. Yeah. Because it's like, but it's cool because it's like, oh, this is almost like a prequel duology that we won't get a sequel to. And I think it was cool if we just leave it like this. Don't give it a sequel or anything.
Because the Joker that we know, we see in the games and stuff like that, he's like psychotic to where like he doesn't have any morals. Yeah. Like he kills anybody.
Joaquin was like abused and as a kid and abused by everybody and just, you know. So that's what I mean. It's like, that's not really. So that was cool, yeah. And then just the fact that they threw that right at the end of the second movie, it's not even.
And you could see the guy killed Joker. He just started like giving himself a Glasgow smile too, in the background.
And he's just making all these weird noises over there and laughing. And I was like, okay, this guy. And then because Harley ditched Joaquin, I'm like, okay, when this dude gets out, she's gonna fall in love with him because she's probably happy that he killed him, and she's probably like, oh, he's the real deal. So
she don't care about nothing.
Also, I want to say about her. You know, I know we were critical of the Crow having the twig lady. The twig. Because she wasn't great with the acting wise or whatever. And she's just in there because she's famous. But I think Lady Gaga, nobody's saying that or because, you know, she's been in Stars Born and American Horror Story. And I just think she crushed it.
She crushed it.
You know,
she's probably even, like, to say the least.
Yeah. And I think even people that don't like this movie, I think you can't really talk about her being like a downside of it.
Yeah, I think like she really tapped into her character.
It's like, who else would even do it? Who else would do a better job than her? You know what I mean? Like, because like I said, American Horror Story, which we haven't really watched. I haven't really watched it. We tried to watch it.
I haven't seen the seasons.
I'm just saying, like, she comes from that series, and I think if you like that, and if you like Lady Gaga, if you like these kind of dark romance things,
she's got a record.
Yeah, and then and The Crow, I think both of this and that Crow movie from this year, they might become like these kind of culty type of things where if you're into, you know, like Sid and Nancy, Thelma and Louise, and these kind of like romances, or not, you know, it's just kind of like this, that type of thing.
Yeah.
You know, I just don't know if this is made for everybody, and it's not trying to be. So,
right.
But for me, though, it is just a matinee because, yeah, I started dragging at the end and stuff like that. But,
Did drag a little.
but it wasn't bad. I mean,
Yeah.
it's good.
I'll still rewatch it. So yeah. Me, I'm full price.
Cool.
Heck yeah.
All right.
All right.
That's it.
Like a chicken or whatever. Yep.
That's it.
That's it. Yep. Check it out. Come on this ride with us. No, I'm just kidding. I'm always so cheesy. All right. We're going to cut that out.
Well, no, we're going to cut because we're going to show the intro.
Right. Yeah.
So, okay,
Good.
now we're going to start it. All right, so first, let me go back to the, hang on one second. Because last time.
You're paranoid now. Let's see what else. I wanted to mention, we want to talk about what happens in the court. Like, yeah, like,
Yeah, tell me. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
I was just paranoid because last time.
Chibi's happy that we're done.
That was good.